Today is the 12th of August 2024. This is a brand new edition of Newsfirst Primetime News coming to you live and direct from our Newsfirst studios here in Colombo. Bringing you the news this evening for the Newsfirst team, I am Jayamal Ratnayaka.
And I'm Naveksha Gunasekara, and here are your headlines for tonight.
Ali Sabri sworn in as Minister of Justice once more. 3 more candidates place bonds for the upcoming presidential election. SLPP parliamentarian Kapila Duwan to support Ranil Wickramasinghe. Chandrasena reserved the ground initially planned for Namal's first rally for Ranil, claims parliamentarian Tissa Kuttiarachi. What happened to the discussion to increase plantation workers' wages? President in a discussion regarding the Tamil common candidate. SJB has the system change for the people, says leader of the opposition.
හොඳට මතක තියාගන්න අපි ලබා දෙන සිස්ටම් චේන්ජ් එක ඔබගේ මුදල් පසුම්බියට ඔබගේ බඩට කඩට හදවතට දැනෙන සිස්ටම් චේන්ජ් එකක් තමයි අපි ක්‍රියාත්මක කරන්නේ.
Anura Kumara signs nomination papers. Grama Niladhari officers launch indefinite trade union action based on service minutes. Chamari Atapattu named ICC Player of the Month for July.
Sri Lanka, Sri Lanka, Sri Lanka decides. Sri Lanka decides.
In a top story for tonight, President's Counsel Ali Sabri was appointed as the new Minister of Justice, Prison Affairs and Constitutional Reforms, filling the vacancy left by the resignation of Dr. Vijayadasa Rajapaksa. This is in addition to his current position as the Minister of Foreign Affairs.
Member of Parliament, President's Counsel Ali Sabri was sworn in as the Minister of Justice at the President's office. Ali Sabri served as Minister of Justice during the tenure of former President Gotabaya Rajapaksa. He was appointed to the same position following the resignation of Dr. Vijayadasa Rajapaksa, who held the post previously. Vijayadasa Rajapaksa deposited bonds to contest the upcoming presidential election.
Former President Maithripala Sirisena, who endorsed Dr. Vijayadasa Rajapaksa as the presidential candidate, attended a youth meeting held in Polonnaruwa today in lieu of International Youth Day. A walk was held following the event.
The Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna's Trincomalee District Committee was convened under the chairmanship of MP Kapila Duwan Natukorala.
The President took up the challenge and the chairman informed us that we must rally around him to rebuild the country. Ranil Wickramasinghe by the current government provides us with the necessary provisions. I have not been told by anyone that it is time to step aside from Ranil Wickramasinghe. But if I am told to do so tomorrow, I will still not step aside. Let's all work together for this election victory, setting party differences aside. We have the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna, the United National Party, the Sri Lanka Freedom Party, the Tamil National Alliance, the Sri Lanka Muslim Congress and many other parties.
Yesterday, MP SM Chandrasena stated that following the presidential election, the SLPP will be taken over, and today MP Tissa Kuttiarachi responded to Chandrasena's statement.
We will reclaim the power of the SLPP. If not, it will be a namesake party. The Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena is the leader of our alliance. The party belongs to us. Parliamentarian Chandrasena mentioned that they would take control of the SLPP following the election. Member of Parliament Chandrasena, who has been a senior figure, a mentor, like a father or an uncle, why did you make such a statement? On the 21st, we held a meeting at Salgadu Stadium. Parliamentarian Chandrasena was part of the committee and Rohita served as the national convener, with Pavitra Vanyarachi acting as treasurer during the planning. We were planning to hold the rally at the Salgadu grounds. Ranil Wickramasinghe had never held a rally at the Salgadu grounds. However, this time around, they plan to bring him there on the 17th and name him as their patron. They have booked the ground until the 23rd. We will not let go of our plans and we will hold our rally in Anuradhapura on the 21st.
During a media briefing held today, MP Andhra Priyadarshana Yapa revealed that the 25 former SLPP MPs who decided to be independent will form an alliance named the Podu Jana Eksath Peramuna.
Once we decided to act independent of the SLPP, 25 MPs were discussing the way forward. We eventually decided that we must back Ranil Wickramasinghe. Tomorrow we will enter an alliance with the Podu Jana Peramuna, a party which is a faction of the SLFP. We then hope to establish a political organisation consisting MPs who defected from the SLPP. This will be done in the week to come. We truly regret the decision made by Namal Rajapaksa and others. It was a very wrong decision. They will head into the polls with defeat being certain. No one claims they will win.
Following his resignation from the post of chairman of the Samagi Jana Balawegaya, Field Marshal Sarath Fonseca is now gearing up to contest the 2024 presidential election. The presidential hopeful arrived at the National Election Commission today to inquire regarding the process of submitting nominations for the election. He addressed the media thereafter and was critical of the Samagi Jana Balawegaya.
සජපෙන්කුව මේ ඔබතුමා ගිහිපේක ලොකු උදව්වක් එන වාතයක් අපෙන් අයින් වුණා. එහෙම කියලා ඔබතුමා ගැන නොසෑහෙන්න මේ කිව්වා. සජපෙන් කිව්වා කියන්නේ ඉතින් ඔය සජපේ ඉන්නවා නායකයාට කඩේ යන්න හදන.
There are several sycophants within the SJB who want to enter parliament through the national list. They are the ones slinging mud at us to appease the leader. But you can see how valuable they are if you consider what they have done for the country.
මම ගන්න ගුවන් ඔබතුමාලට මේ වගේ වටිනාකම. ඔබතුමාත් එක්ක කණ්ඩායමක් ඉන්නවද සජපේ මන්ත්‍රීවරු? නෑ මම මන්ත්‍රීවරු කවුරුත් එකතු කරගන්න
I do not chase behind anyone. I am contesting to appeal to the floating votes. It is pointless collecting MPs in a flimsy manner because the people were direct. They said 225 out.
දේශීය 25ම මැරියන් කියලා. පක්ෂ මාරු කිරීම නායකයෙක් ජයග්‍රහයක් කිරීමට හේතුවක් වෙනවද? දැන් අද මේ අපි දකිනවා සන්දානගත වෙනවා පක්ෂ මාරු වෙනවා විවිධ දේවල් වෙනවා මේ මැතිවරණ ඉලක්ක කරගෙන. ඇයි මේ මෙහෙම වෙන්නේ? ඇයි මෙහෙම කරන්නේ?
There's an adage which goes, a leopard cannot change its spots. They are merely old wine in new bottles.
The Janapara public rally organised for the victory of the opposition leader Sajith Premadasa in the presidential election was held in Mahayangana today. Former MP Lakshman Seneviratne, Chaminda Vijayasiri and MP Naina Vasila Tilaka joined the public rally. The opposition leader said he would dedicate himself for the victory of all 22 million people.
අපේ කණ්ඩායමේ හොරු නෑ, කයිවාරුකාරයෝ නෑ, බොරුකාරයෝ නෑ, වංචාකාරයෝ නෑ.
There are no thieves, boastful figures, liars or scammers in our group. No corrupt politics. It is our team that will rebuild the country. They ask me why I did not take the prime ministerial post or presidency. If I did so, I would have to protect the thieves, the group that destroyed the country through corruption, fraud and theft. I don't want to be a president or prime minister appointed by parliament. I want to be the country's leader, elected through a public mandate with the strength of 22 million people. We are implementing a massive irrigation revival program within the country's irrigation system. Some may ask if such things can be done in a bankrupt country. Speaking of a system change to develop the country is useless if the people in the cities and villages don't feel the change. There is no use of boasting. We will implement a system change that is tangible.
ඔබගේ මුදල් පසුම්බියට ඔබගේ බඩට කඩට හදවතට දැනෙන සිස්ටම් චේන්ජ් එකක් තමයි අපි ක්‍රියාත්මක කරන්නේ.
Two parliamentary seats of the Samagi Jana Balawegaya currently remain vacant, previously occupied by Manushanane Akara and Harin Fernando. The two seats opened up owing to the decision handed down by the Supreme Court upholding a decision by the SJB to expel the duo from the party. Acting Secretary General of Parliament Shaminda Kularatne said it had notified the chairman of the National Election Commission that the seats remain vacant as of the 9th of August. Manushanane Akara was voted into Parliament from the Gaul district, while Harin Fernando entered parliament through the national list. Bandulal Bandarigoda is the next candidate in line in the Galle district list of the SJB. But the party is yet to make a decision regarding the vacant national list seat. Recently, journalists questioned the leader of the All Ceylon Makal Congress, parliamentarian Rishad Badiuddin, regarding national list seat.
We have not done so. Rumors have been spreading. We have not asked anyone to give that seat to us.
Issuing a media release, Secretary of the Sri Lanka Muslim Congress, President's Counsel Nisam Karyapar says he is not willing to accept the national list position of the Samagi Jana Balawegaya. The release further mentions that he proposes the name of Hirunika Premachandra to fill the vacant seat. Elaborating further, President's Counsel Karyapar says an attempt is underway to cause a conflict of opinion between the SJB and the Sri Lanka Muslim Congress. National organizer of the SJB also weighed in on this matter during a media briefing today.
It is the Politburo and the Management Committee who make decisions collaboratively regarding vacant national list seats. We were unable to hold a discussion on it because we are engaged in election activities. A suitable person will be named once they meet. It is unsuitable for me to name anyone. Many candidates are in line, but a common understanding is required to name the most suitable one.
Leader of the National People's Power, Anura Kumara Dissanayake, officially signed his nomination papers for the upcoming presidential election today.
Anura Kumara Dissanayake signed his nomination paper for the upcoming presidential election at the NPP head office premises in Battaramulla. NPP frontliners and attorneys at law were also present.
Our country has been thrust into numerous crises by the former ruling classes. The National People's Power is ready to rise to the challenge of rescuing our nation and its people. Today, the signature we place is not just a mark. It is a promise of victory. The other camps are fragmented, reduced to collecting scraps piece by piece, while we stand united with a clear path to success. After this election, the National People's Power is prepared to take on the formidable task of rebuilding our nation, transforming it into a prosperous country and providing our people with a better life. This signature placed today will undoubtedly be the signature of victory in this presidential election.
As the presidential election draws ever so close, 32 candidates contesting the presidential election had deposited bonds by this evening. Today, bonds were also placed for P. Aryanethan, who is gearing up to contest the election as the Tamil Common candidate.
Bonds were deposited today for the former Minister Roshan Ranasinghe, who is contesting this year's presidential election as an independent candidate.
Since the issue related to cricket, the minister has always reached decisions for the people. He constantly spoke out regarding fraud and corruption. So we believe that 22.1 million people of this country expect such a leader to be appointed as the leader of this country. The minister is contesting as an independent candidate.
Bonds were deposited today for the presidential candidate of the Socialist Party of Sri Lanka, Mahinda Devage.
The Hartal of 53 happened on a day like today. Our presidential candidate, Mahinda Devage, is the grandson of one of the 8 brothers who died in that struggle.
Anuj De Silva is contesting as a presidential candidate of the Democratic United National Front. A group including the party's leader and General Secretary Aryavansa Dissanayake deposited bonds on his behalf today.
We tried to discuss the plans we made since 1991 with the current rulers to develop this country. They listen to us but don't take any action thereafter. We will implement the program brought forward since 1991.
Candidates running for the presidential election must deposit their securities by 12 noon on Wednesday. Nominations will be accepted starting Thursday.
On that day from 9 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. time has been reserved for protesting the nominations. After this period, symbols will be allocated to the independent candidates and those from other parties. Within 5 days, the respective candidates and their authorized representatives are required to complete the necessary preliminary work related to various regulatory acts, including determining the permissible expenditure for each candidate. Additionally, the process of submitting securities is still ongoing. I urge anyone planning to make their deposits to do so as early as possible.
The Turning Point.
Several representatives of the Tamil People's General Council, consisting of multiple Tamil political and civil organizations, which was formed to field a common Tamil candidate at the upcoming presidential election, met President Ranil Wickremesinghe today. The discussion was held this evening at the President's office based on an invitation extended by the President. Leader of TELO and Member of Parliament Selvan Adekalanathan, TELO MP Govinda Karunakaram, Media Secretary of the party Dr. Surendran Guruswamy, Leader of PLOT, Parliamentarian Dharmalingan Siddharthan, Leader of the Fighters for Democracy Sivanandan Vendan were among those who attended the discussion.
We clearly pointed out the woes of Tamil people to the President. He mentioned that a political decision to those can only be given once a new parliament convenes. He has handed us a proposal on power devolution, mainly concerning the 13th Amendment. We are prepared to discuss all this with our parties and further this decision with the President. There is no intention of victory. A Tamil candidate cannot become the President, but we have issues that are unresolved. This is an attempt to showcase those to the world, at least to other parties in the country and our citizens.
මේ ප්‍රශ්න විසඳන්න නැහැ කියලා පෙන්වන්න තමයි මේ පොදු අභියෝගයක අපි මේ ඉදිරිපත් කළා තියෙන්නේ.
The daily wages of plantation workers have become a major topic of discussion on presidential election stages. A discussion on the matter was held at the Ministry of Labour today with the participation of parties including the Wages Control Board, Plantation Workers Union and Estate Owners Association. What happened to the proposal for a daily wage of 1,700 rupees? This is what the plantation trade unions had to say regarding today's discussion.
The decision was reached to give 1,350 rupees as basic salary and 350 rupees based on production efficiency. Accordingly, a plantation worker gets 1,750 rupees per day. The Ministry of Labour will issue a gazette notification in future. A poll was held today based on a conflict of opinion. We won this wage with 11 votes.
However, the All Ceylon Estate Workers Union, which joined today's discussion, rejected the relevant proposal.
This is a betrayal. Estate companies, government officials and estate unions have conspired to deceive the people. It is not possible to talk about raising wages for 3 years. It was accepted by the Ceylon Workers Congress. Proposals were also presented to prevent plantation workers from taking trade union action. They supported those proposals as well. This is not a proposal to increase wages, but to reduce wages.
General Secretary of the Ceylon Workers Congress, Minister Jeevan Thondaman, also provided an explanation regarding today's discussion.
All the participants who came on behalf of estate companies agreed to give a salary of 1,700 rupees. 3 out of 14 voted against. That means they have voted in favor of estate companies. Anurakumara Disanayaka's trade union, which claims to speak for the workers, has also voted against. The people should also be aware of who is working hard for the people. I also informed the President about this today and thank him for the estate workers because this is a hard-earned salary.
What do plantation companies say? The Estate Owners Association said they agreed to pay the basic salary of 1,350 rupees during today's discussion and that it is the same stance they have been taking continuously. A spokesperson of the association said payments can be made in such a way that will reward people based on how they work. The Estate Owners Association said as they agreed to pay 50 rupees per kilogram of tea picked in excess, plantation workers workers will be able to earn a salary of over 1,700 rupees. What is the Labour Commissioner's stance on the matter? Labour Commissioner General HKKA Jayasundara has reached a decision to call on objections in this regard. He said objections can be raised within a period of 14 days.
Meanwhile, opposition leader Sajith Premadasa revealed today that he would appoint a special presidential task force for plantation workers expeditiously should he be elected the president. He also signed a pledge to uplift plantation communities across the island. The signing took place at the SJB headquarters in Pitakotte this morning. Labour leaders, including the leader of the Democratic People's Front, Mano Ganesan, leader of the National Labour Alliance, Palanidhi Gambaram, and MP M. Udayakumar were also in attendance.
We plan to implement the largest development process in Sri Lanka's history aimed at plantation communities. We will not let you hold any reservations because I intend to appoint a presidential task force dedicated for this industry within 48 hours of being elected president. We will set in motion a process to uplift your lives and ensure your rights are strengthened.
වතු ප්‍රජාවගේ අයිතීන් ශක්තිමත් කරන මේ givisuma සහ මේ givisumට එහා ගිය ජනතා සවිබල ගැන්වීමේ වැඩසටහනකට අපි ප්‍රවේශ වෙනවා.
There is no mention in this document regarding ministerial positions, benefits or political interests. This is a social contract. There is no mention of Indian citizenship, only Sri Lankan citizenship. This document entails a vision to accept and adopt our communities into the Sri Lankan framework and be treated as Sri Lankans.
Public representatives are gearing up for the polls, while new faces join the presidential race each day.
People are also looking for solutions to many problems. This is one of the many such issues.
Paddy is being harvested in the Tambalagamu Divisional Secretariat of the Trincomalee district. Farmers say they do not fetch a fair price for the harvest despite long hours of labour.
We are harvesting for the Yalla season, but our harvest has been a failure. Although the government promised to open a paddy storage, they are yet to do so. Traders are buying the paddy at cheap prices. We request the government to provide relief to sell the paddy at a higher rate.
Farmers of the Galloya left bank in Ampara are also harvesting at present. They allege no proper program has been implemented to purchase paddy when farmers are in a destitute state.
We cultivated 13,000 acres of paddy. Most farmers cultivated Kiri Samba. We have completed harvesting 95% of the harvest, but paddy is not being purchased at any of the government paddy purchasing centres. So no private trader is purchasing Kiri Samba. They have stopped completely, so the price of Kiri Samba has dropped to 85 rupees to 90 rupees. We have brought the paddy to our homes. It was a successful harvest.
The chairman of the Polonnaruwa Damminna Mahaveli Division Farmers Organisation said that the farmers have been neglected by leaders.
There has been a great injustice to the farmers. During the 2023-24 Maha season, farmers were unable to sell their harvest as it was destroyed due to floods. Farmers are yet to receive compensation for the damages by wild elephants. Despite the injustice, we made arrangements to successfully harvest this Yalla season, but the farmers are yet to receive a fair price in the Mahaveli B region and the Ampara district. Farmers are currently buying paddy at a price of raw nadu for 102 rupees per kilo and dried nadu for 117 rupees per kilo. A kilogram of raw kiri is 90 rupees and dried kiri is 112 rupees per kilo. A presidential election has been declared and this is an election period, but no ruler in this country has taken steps to serve justice to farmers who are facing a difficult situation.
ගොවි ජනතාව මේ අපහසුතාවට පත්වලා ඉන්න මොහොතේ ගොවියට සාධාරණයක් කරන්න කිසිම නායකයෙක් මේ රටේ කටයුතු කළා නැහැ.
The power of the people.
Charting the course of your success in a disruptive world. Global transformation thought leader Karen Leong on the 13th of August at the Oak Room Cinnamon Grand, 6 p.m. onwards. Contact 077 466 4931.
රටක් ලෙස අප හමුවේ ඇති සිහින අනාගතයට අප රැගෙන යන බලාපොරොත්තුවයි. සැපවත් නගරවල මෙන්ම දුප්පත් ගම්මානවල පොදු සිහිනය. යහපත් හෙට දවසක්. ඒ සිහිනය ජයගන්නට එක්ව නැගිටිමු. ගම්මැද්ද රට නගන ජන පෞර.
The Grama Niladhari Trade Union Collective staged a protest opposite the Ministry of State Administration today, voicing their opposition over the authorities' failure to address complications in their service minute.
The collective also commenced a two-day strike, alleging that requests made by them had not been included in the service minute, which has now been gazetted.
The Sri Lanka Grama Niladhari Officers Association lodged a complaint with the Human Rights Commission today, highlighting the authorities' reluctance to address their issues and the ensuing detrimental consequences they have faced.
මේ සේවා ව්‍යවස්ථාව අපි අපේ අමාත්‍යංශයට ඉදිරිපත් කරනකොට
This service minute was presented to the ministry by the Grama Niladhari Trade Union Collective. It was delayed at the Wage Commission for 1.5 years and hidden in the Director General's lockers for another year. Even after all that, what has been given to the Public Service Commission is something completely distorted, something we did not request for, but which suits those in administrative service. We complained to the Public Service and requested not to accept it, saying it was being rejected by 14,000 of us. But this fraudulent service minute was gazetted by them.
Later, the Sri Lanka Grama Niladhari Officers Association and the other unions of the Grama Niladhari Trade Union Collective converged opposite the Ministry of State Administration and held a demonstration.
ජෙනරල් ඒවගේම සේවක සංචාලන කරන කොමිසම සභාවේ මේක අලුගා ගන්න ඔළුවේ අපි මේ ගැසට් එක අපි අද නෙවෙයි ඉදත් ප්‍රතික්ෂේප කරා මේ මැතිවරණ කඩාකප්පල් වුණොත් මේ ඉන්න අගමැතිවරයා දැන් සිළු දනාම කියන්න ඕනේ කියලා ප්‍රකාශ කරනවා. හරයි යන්න දීලා ගන්න අමාත්‍යංශ ලේකම්වරු 17 දෙනාට අවුරුදු 12ක් සාකච්ඡාවට 42ක් දැන් මේ ඉන්න ලේකම් දෙසැම්බර් මාසෙ විශ්‍රාම වෙනවා. කාටද මේ කියන්නේ?
Subsequently, the group were allowed to hold a discussion with the Secretary to the Ministry of State Administration.
මේ ඒකාධිපති ව්‍යවස්ථාව ග්‍රාම නිලධාරීන් වහල්ලු බවට පත් කරන සේවා ව්‍යවස්ථාව ගැසට් කිරීමේ චක්‍රලේඛය බලාත්මක කිරීමේ චක්‍රලේඛය නිකුත් කිරීම පමා කරනවා.
The dictatorial constitution is delaying the issuance of circulars for enforcement of gazetted service minute, which enslaves Grama Niladhari officials. He has now promised us that after including our amendment, he will consider the demands of Grama Niladhari officials and include those demands in the minute and then gazette the circular for the enforcement of the minute. We were given in writing that during the next 3 months, our demands will be looked into and a committee headed by the additional secretary will be appointed and Grama Niladhari service minute with amendments will be enforced. As members of the Grama Niladhari Trade Union Collective, we are very proud of this move.
මොහොතේදී ලබා දුන් බව අපි තාමත් වගකීමෙන් යුක්තව අභිමානයෙන් යුක්තව දැඩි ග්‍රාම නිලධාරී සහෝදරත්වයත් සමග මේ මොහොතේදී ප්‍රකාශ කර සිටිනවා.
However, the trade unions say that they will continue the trade union action as planned. Meanwhile, the chairman of the Election Commission commented on whether the Grama Niladhari official strike could disrupt the activities of the presidential election.
We have discussed with the Grama Niladhari officials earlier. They have promised that they will not do anything that will disrupt the polling activities. So we further hope that the Grama Niladhari officials will perform the election duties without any problem in spite of their trade union action. If any issue arises with regards to the election duties, the Election Commission intends to take necessary action.
The Sri Lanka Liquor Licensees Association alleges that new excise licenses are being issued through backdated letters during a period where a presidential election has been announced.
The Sri Lanka Liquor Licensees Association filed a complaint with the Election Commission today regarding the issuance of excise licenses.
In the event that the current president and the Minister of Finance have deposited bonds as a candidate for this presidential election, he will also be the head of the excise department. We have received information that the excise department is currently in the process of issuing more than 200 new excise permits. In addition, after the announcement of the presidential election, 6 new licenses have been issued with earlier dates. On August 6th, the Supreme Court issued an interim order to refrain from issuing liquor licenses in an illegal manner. The excise department is issuing new excise permits in violation of that order. We informed the Election Commission regarding this matter today.
නව සුරාබදු බලපත්‍ර නිකුත් කරගෙන යනවා. ඒ සම්බන්ධව අද මැතිවරණ කොමිසම අපි දැනුවත් කරා.
Transparency International Sri Lanka has warned against the misuse of public resources during elections.
Now, when we talk about misuse of public resources during election, we are referring to the actions of public officials who are the stewards, who are the trustees of public resources in any country. They are the ones who are entrusted with power over the resources that belong to all citizens. These our resources in Sri Lanka, from public finance to natural resources to all state properties, belongs to us and to our children, and we have entrusted this task of protecting these and taking right decisions about this to our public representatives who delegate that work to the public officials. And like this has been recently even reiterated by the Supreme Court, the officials in the country have a sacred duty to protect that public trust that is entrusted in them in terms of resources. None of the state resources can be used for personal enrichment. It has to be only be used for the service of the people. Now, when the election is announced, those people who are candidates cannot, even though they have, some of them may have access to state resources because they are already in power, they cannot use these resources for their political campaign. That is a crime, that is a violation, that is a breach of trust, which is punishable. According to the Constitution, it's a punishable offence with imprisonment and a fine. It is absolutely an abuse that will affect the results of the election. Because if certain candidates can use all state resources for their campaign, and then the other candidates need to compete with these candidates, how can you have an equal level playing field? We as citizens have the right to have an environment where we have a very free and fair election with equal access to the information by the campaigns and information by all candidates, and we do not by any chance want our own money as citizens, our own resources to be used by certain candidates for their campaigns. Public officials, you might be getting pressurized by politicians to abuse state resources for their campaigns. But you know, as it has happened in the past in this country as well, at the end of the day, you will be held responsible. You might have to face court. You might have to end up in prison, and you wouldn't want to really risk that. You would have built up your name after years and years of service in the public sector. Do not let any politician influence you, but uphold your sacred duty as the guardian of public resources and resist all types of temptations.
Health trade unions have demanded a proper solution to the issues regarding many health sector workers losing their right to franchise. The All Ceylon Health Services Union Federation drew attention to this matter during a media briefing held in Colombo today.
Over 150,000 health staff of all grades work in Sri Lankan hospitals. A large number of them who work on election day have lost their right to franchise. We all know that the right to franchise is a right for any professional and any citizen. That right has been violated for health workers over a period of time. We urge the right to franchise of health workers who are on duty on election day to be ensured because we believe their vote is of great importance.
සහතික කරන්න කියන බලපෑම අපි කරන්න බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා. මොකද මේ අයගේ ඡන්දය ඉතාම වැදගත් කියලා අපි හිතනවා.
අපිට තැපල් ඡන්ද නැත්තම් අපිට ඒකට විකල්පයක් ඕනේ.
If we don't have postal votes, we need an alternative. What is the alternative? Provide necessary facilities for over 100,000 health workers on duty on that day to cast their vote. Granting a holiday is an option, but the issue is that everyone cannot be sent on holiday. Otherwise, they should be given the opportunity to go to the nearest polling station and cast their vote. We have not received a favorable response regarding the requests we have made in this regard. A large number of health workers will definitely lose their right to franchise at the upcoming presidential election. We as trade unions do not allow this.
The National Movement of Health Professionals also commented on the matter.
Based on the legal basis we currently have, only the health workers who are on election duty have been given the right to cast a postal vote. The health workers who are not on election duty cannot return to their villages to cast their vote. If that is the case, either we have to abandon on the patients or look after the patients without casting our vote. Therefore, we request the government, the health ministry and the election commission to provide a solution before this turns into a serious issue.
In more news, Australia's Indo-Pacific endeavour starts this week in Sri Lanka.
Australia's flagship regional engagement activity, Indo-Pacific Endeavour or IPE 2024, commences this week in Sri Lanka and will involve activities with 14 countries over 5 months across Southeast Asia and the Northeast Indian Ocean. IPE 2024 deepens diplomatic and defence engagement with Bangladesh, Brunei, Cambodia, India, Indonesia, Laos, Malaysia, Maldives, the Philippines, Singapore, Sri Lanka, Thailand, Timor-Leste and Vietnam. This year's IPE includes military exercises, training and cultural activities with a focus on topics including humanitarian assistance and disaster relief and gender, peace and security. The Australian Defence Force and Indonesian National Armed Forces will also participate in Exercise Keriswamura, a joint bilateral amphibious activity that includes complex air, land and maritime training for the first time during IPE 2024. Other government agencies will also contribute to activities reflecting Australia's whole-of-government commitment to regional stability and security.
Day 51 of the third phase of the LOLC Divisavya program, which is being carried out for the betterment of Sri Lanka's future generation, got underway today.
Under the Divisavya program, exercise books and stationery equipment required for an year are distributed free of charge to government schools with less than 150 students. Today's program was centered around the Hambantota and Tangol education officers. Accordingly, school bags and stationery equipment were donated to students of Kudavella Jaivikrama Kanishta Vidyalaya, Galgama Mahavidyalaya, Galgama Primary School, Debarahela Illagala Primary School, MR Tasi Muslim Vidyalaya and Veherapalasa Primary School. The LOLC Divisavya program continues to forge ahead for the future generation of Sri Lanka.
රටට බත සපයන රජරට තමුත්තේකම කුඩා වෙල්ලන් කඩවල ග්‍රාමී ජනතාව පිරිසිදු පානීය ජලය නොමැතිව බොහෝසී දුක් විඳි කාලය නිමා කරමින් ගම්මැද්දෙන් පානීය ජල පෙරණයක් ලබා දුන් වගයි. ගම්මැද්ද රට නගන ජන පෞර.
Sajid Wazir Joy, son of former Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, has said a recent statement on resignation attributed to his mother, published in an Indian newspaper, is completely false and fabricated.
Wazir Joy, son of former Bangladesh Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, has refuted a recent statement attributed to his mother regarding her resignation. The statement, published in an Indian newspaper, claimed that Hasina had accused foreign powers, including the US, of playing a role in her ouster. In a post on X, formerly Twitter, on Sunday, Joy clarified that his mother had not made any such statement either before or since leaving Bangladesh. He said the recent resignation statement attributed to his mother, published in a newspaper, is completely false and fabricated. The controversy arose from an article by Indian media outlet The Print, which reported that Hasina, currently in India, had accused foreign powers of influencing her removal from office. The article quoted Hasina as saying, quote, "I could have remained in power if I had left St. Martin and the Bay of Bengal to America," unquote, in a message to Awami League supporters. The Prince report also mentioned that Hasina had warned the new interim government against being manipulated by foreign powers. Over 300 people died in weeks-long student protests against Hasina. The US, UK, Canada and other countries have called for investigations into the deaths of students. With the new interim government in Dhaka, Washington said it hopes it will chart a democratic future in Bangladesh. Nobel laureate Muhammad Yunus, leading the new interim government, is believed to have strong ties with the US. In the past, he has held frequent meetings with American diplomats to bemoan the state of Bangladeshi politics, according to WikiLeaks cables. The US is also Bangladesh's largest foreign direct investor.
Captain of the Sri Lanka women's cricket team Chamari Athapattu claimed the ICC Women's Player of the Month for July, fending off stiff competition from two Indian players. Sri Lanka's skipper Chamari Athapattu beat a hot field by overcoming India's star openers Smriti Mandhana and Shafali Verma to win the ICC Women's Player of the Month July 2024. July was prolific for the Southpaw, who secured new landmarks. Athapattu led Sri Lanka to a maiden Women's Asia Cup 2024 title over seven-time champions India during the month. This is the third ICC Women's Player of the Month award for Athapattu, making her the joint second most successful cricketer in the Women's Player of the Month arena, tied at 3 awards with the West Indies' Hayley Matthews, sitting behind Australia's Ashley Gardner with 4 wins.
And that's a wrap of Primetime News for tonight.
Thank you for watching.
Good night.
Good night.